So I'm going to give an illustrative example about front end, back end, and database. I'm going to show you something that I built. It is maybe a bit more complicated than anything we'll be going over. So if it's overwhelming or a bit too much, just try to absorb as much as you can, and we'll be doing some cool things soon. So a lot of front end websites are built or compiled using they're not programming languages necessarily, but they're three main toolkits: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They work in combination in order to create really cool web pages that you see every day when you go online. JavaScript helps with movement, animation, making things look pretty cool. HTML is the data that's on your page, or it's the words, the text, the way if you have a heading or subtext or a paragraph. CSS gives you also flair. It gives you color, it gives you boldness, and all three of these together are what paint our websites today on the front end. This is only front end. So here's an example. I created this site called Pass Your PVOC. The PVOC is a boating exam in Hong Kong. When I was studying for it, there aren't that many online English resources, so I created this in order to help other people out because it is a bit of a complicated exam. So if you want to take a look at the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on this page, what you do, and you can do this on any page, you go to wherever you want. So let's say I'm like, oh, that's a cool color, kind of like mustard yellow, and I'm going to find out which color that is, and the hex color. So I can right click anywhere on this page and click inspect. So inspect, what it does is it reveals under the hood. It's like going to a car, lifting up the hood and seeing everything in there. So we have the HTML here and we have the CSS here. JavaScript is up in here. That one is not as open to see, and we're not gonna go over that today. Try to keep it as simple as possible. So we have the HTML here, and you can see I have all of this. So anywhere I click, I get the CSS for it. And the CSS again tells you width, it can tell you height, it can tell you quite a bit. So we go to inspect. I'm gonna inspect the PVOC exam, and here we can see the color. So what's cool here is if you want to play around and have a bit of fun, you can actually change things here. So let's say I change it to that, or I want to change it to purple. You can actually even type in purple. And look at that, I changed it. It's quite nice because if you want to have clients and you want to show them things that you can do to their site, you can manipulate it this way, take screenshots and send it. I do want to point out that once you refresh, it reloads the data from the CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, and it will revert back to normal. So any changes you do here do not stay. So this is the front end. This is the food that is served to you at the restaurant after it's been nicely prepared. The back end, and we'll be downloading this soon, this is Cursor. Cursor is a great tool. It's relatively cheap. I think it's totally worth the $20. You get AI with it that helps you write the code. An example of back end, and we're going to break down this project structure soon because you'll be seeing it more if you want to manipulate the data and the information and how it looks and all that good stuff. So this is the back end logic, taking it from the chefs in the kitchen are taking their food and their items from the pantry, which is the database. This is the database. So the database here, and mind you, this could be in Excel, this could be Airtable, this could be anywhere. The important part is the data is stored in a table, structured table in a database. A database holds many tables, and each table holds a row with information. So here's an example question. We're in category avoid collisions by day. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit because if you're like me wearing glasses, sometimes vision could be a bit rough. Okay, so we're zooming in. Here's the category avoid, let's see, collisions by day. And then here's the question text, for example. Then we have option A, option B, and I know I'm going through this fast. I'm just trying to show you what's in a database. Correct answer, explanation text. Let's see, whether or not it has an image. I include images in some of them in order to better illustrate, and when it was created. So here's the database. The back end takes the data from the database and it manipulates it and then presents it on here. So for example, let's say it takes these questions from the database, and I'm just choosing one at random. Here's the explanation, and that's how it's manipulated. So the front end presents this information, the back end takes it from the database, makes it look pretty, assigns the correctness, assigns which ones to show, and categorizes them for the user, all these kinds of things. So that is a very rough idea of front end, back end, and database. The last thing to show you are API calls. API calls are how this application is able to communicate, let's say, to Stripe for subscription, or it's able to communicate to, let's see, all of these reactivate, so reactivate an account. All of these are connected to Stripe. So my subscribers, when they go to this website, they will, let's say, sign up for a month, and you can cancel anytime. And then they create a subscription to Stripe and are able to pay throughout that whole process. So the server isn't just able to talk to Stripe willy-nilly. It needs to be able to say, it's almost like a postman who has a package, and he goes up to the house and he's like, there's this package for you. And the person can sign it. Let's say it's a business document, and then it gets sent back. So the idea is that an API route is sort of like you have a destination and you have a delivery. And it takes the delivery there. The other service performs whatever needs to be done, signing, let's say, saying yes, validating, giving back information, and then it comes back to you. So you need keys to prove who you are, like a driver's license for the internet. You need keys, you need the correct addresses, and you need the correct commands. You can't just send, a screaming message with ghibli glop on it and send it to your client, or send it to someone for them to sign, and they open it up and it's just random text everywhere. So you need to know what you're communicating, know the destination, know the address of the sender, and then be able to prove that it's you who is doing that. So again, I think AI can handle quite a bit of that. It's good for you to get an understanding of it. And now let's get to the fun stuff.